Carry guns, one of the most divisive topics in the gun community, with everyone being in their own little tribes. You have the Glock fanboys, who are either the most boring, practical, utilitarian people you've ever met, or the most irresponsible gun owners you've ever seen. The SIG Sauer apologists, who swears the company has finally fixed the SIG P320 only for another problem to come up. You have the CZ hipsters and their superiority complex. And then there's me. Yeah, I carry this, what is essentially the Comblock high point, the Bulgarian Makarov. Yeah, let me explain why I carry this. Before we begin the video, let's talk about some of the stats of this pistol itself. First of all, it is a simple blowback pistol chambered in 9x18 Makarov. It features a fixed barrel, has a hammer in the back with a double action single action trigger, has a slide mounted safety decocker, down for fire, but if you flip it up, watch this. It also decocks the hammer as well. And another thing about the safety as well is it locks the slide, it locks the trigger, and it locks the hammer. And so it makes this a little too safe to carry like this, I would say. I usually carry it in double action. Speaking of the trigger itself, the single action trigger is about a 4-pound trigger, while the double action is 12 pounds. And I'll let you guys look at that. So hopefully you guys will be able to see. Reset. And the double action trigger. So that's the trigger itself. Now when it comes to the magazines, let me pull this out. It uses 8-round capacity magazines plus 1 in the chamber, so your practical carrying capacity is 9 rounds, and it has these neat little holes to see the rounds inside of it. And when it comes to the magazine release, you don't see it anywhere around the gun itself, but rather it has a heel mounted magazine release. And so whenever you want to take the magazine out, you don't press a button, but rather you push this spring back and you take your magazines out. This is pretty outdated and no gun really does this nowadays, but it is what it is. And the 8-round capacity magazine isn't the most modern or not the best magazine capacity ever, but it's serviceable. But another thing about the gun itself, it's heavily based on the Walther PP or the Walther PPK as far as the design and ergonomics. But something that sets this gun apart from the Walther PPK, and what makes this actually better than the PPK, is the fact that it has a slide release. Now, why do I carry this gun in the first place? Well, honestly, I just think it's kind of cool. Now, some people might say you want a more practical gun or a gun with more capabilities, but I just think this gun is really neat, and sometimes that's the only reason you need to carry a gun in the first place. I'm a big Comblock fan. I own an AK, I own a PSL, and I wanted a pistol for the collection, and so I got myself this Makarov. Now, yes, it's not the most modern or best practical firearm out there that you could carry. It doesn't have drop-free magazines, it doesn't have a cut for optics mounts, it doesn't have a pick mount for lights or attachments, it doesn't have the best magazine capacity, but I just think it's kind of cool. It's a real head turner. People always ask me about my carry gun, and when they hear that it's a Makarov, they're really amazed and they really like the gun. So I think it's just really neat, that, and I think it's a really safe gun to carry in the first place. Speaking of the safety, I find that this gun is actually one of the safest guns you could possibly carry. Now, I already mentioned how the safety decocker works, how whenever it's on safe, it blocks the slide, blocks the hammer, blocks the trigger. In fact, in my opinion, a little too safe. But it also has a firing pin block, and you can bang up all you want on this hammer. You can drop it, do whatever you want. It's not gonna go off on you while the safety is on. But for me personally, I find that this is a little too much, so I actually carry it with the safety off and in double action. And I carry it like this because I want to be able to use the gun without having to fiddle with the safety itself, and I find that this is good enough on its own. Now with the double action trigger, it is a 12-pound pull, and so if you're scared that something's gonna brush up on the trigger like keys or whatever it is, you accidentally touch the trigger, you need a deliberate pull of the trigger in order for this to go off. It's not gonna go off accidentally on you. One long deliberate pull of the trigger, and if you were to pull out the gun itself, you can easily just cock the hammer back for that 4-pound trigger. But for my purposes, I carry it decocked in this manner, and I think it's pretty safe. Another reason I love the Makarov is how stupidly simple it is to disassemble this gun. First things first, what we're going to do is clear the firearm. So we're going to take the magazine out, nothing in the magazine. We're going to show empty. So totally safe, totally clear. First thing we're going to do is take down the trigger guard. All you have to do, pull down, and it's going to stay on the side. Then all you do is pull the slide back, up, and out. So let me show you that. Just like that, and for all intents and purposes, we're pretty much disassembled, and you could do all your cleanings and everything. As you can see right here, you can see that fixed barrel right there, but it's pretty much disassembled. Now, if you really needed to, you could go a step further and take the firing pin out, and in that case, all you have to do is just take the safety, flip it all the way up, and then take that bad Johnny out, and then the firing pin will just fall out just like that, and disassembled. Now to put it back together, it's equally as easy. All you have to do is put the firing pin back in, focus, put the firing pin back in, put the safety in there, okay. Then again, basically the opposite step. All you have to do is pull back and down back onto the rails, and then the trigger guard back there. Magazine function check. And she's back together. And so you can see how easy it is to field strip, clean, and do whatever you need to do with this gun. And that's another reason to love it. Now, when it comes to 9x18 Makarovs in the US, it's kind of hard to come by. With the Russian import ban, it really shafted the amount of 9x18 coming into the country. And so the stuff we get is really expensive and hard to come by. Tula steel case, Red Army standard, and even Academy used to have 9x18 Makarov, but a lot of those has since kind of dried up and is sort of hard to find locally. You can probably find it online pretty easily, but they're typically pretty expensive for what they are. Now, I've actually had really good luck finding local ammo sources. I got this from a shop. This is Cellular and Below, and right here I have some Russian brown bear ammo, which is kind of on the rare side. Now, when it comes to the SMB stuff, it's brass case. You can see full brass case ammo, and I managed to pick this up for about 45 cents a round, which is pretty good in my opinion. And right here, I have the brown bear 9x18 Makarov. As you can see, it's lacquered steel case, and I got really lucky with this one. Somebody sold me this for about 30 cents a round, and I am very happy with that purchase. And so when it comes to the grainage of these rounds, typically they're going to be between 92 grain to about 95 grain from what I've seen, with the Tula and Wolf steel case typically being on the lower end, this brown bear being 94 grain, and the S&B being 95 grain. But that's just from what I've seen me personally. Now, a common misconception is that 9x18 Makarov is the direct in-between between 380 ACP or 9x17 and 9mm Luger or 9x19. But it's kind of different, and let me kind of show you. So right here, I have 380 ACP. This is just a snap cap right there. Of course, 9x18, and we can see as a comparison, hopefully you'll focus, it's fairly similar. So let me just scroll down for you guys. Okay, so as you can see, fairly similar when it comes to the sort of like shape and geometry, but 9x18 Makarov is ever so slightly bigger. Think of it as like a bigger 380 ACP. And right here, I have 9mm Luger. As you can see, a whole lot longer when it comes to the projectile itself. Yes, it's in the middle, but it's a lot closer to 9x18 than it is to 9x19. With the Makarov's age, you might think that you're relegated to old, outdated leather holsters, something like this. But it's the 21st century. I think we could do a lot better. So why don't we carry our 20th century gun with a 21st century holster? Now, this holster isn't anything special. I got this off of Amazon for about like 20 bucks or so, but it does everything I needed to do. As you can see, it blocks the safety, it blocks the trigger, and it retains the Makarov pretty well. It's not really like coming out of there, but when you need it, all you have to do is just press right here and the gun comes right out. And so I'm sure there are better options when it comes to Makarov holsters. There's a company called DP Holsters that makes pretty good holsters for the Makarov or whatever you need it, but this is in the waistband and does everything I needed to do for concealed carry. When it comes to actually wearing this gun, I find that this is actually a really comfortable gun to carry. Number one, because of the in the waistband holster that I have, and number two, because of the actual frame of the gun itself. Because it is essentially a 380 or of course 9x18 Makarov, and it has a single stack magazine, it is of a thinner frame, as you guys can see. And so it makes it really comfortable and really low profile. Now putting the gun on, I have these jeans on right now, but as you guys can see, I just have a normal kind of medium-sized shirt for me, but it doesn't imprint too much, right? Of course, if you were wearing something a little tighter, yes, you are going to get that imprint, but you can easily remediate that with some sort of like jacket or something, or a flannel. But if you wear a normal size shirt to your size, then it's not going to be too bad with this gun and with this holster as well. And whenever I need to get the gun, all I have to do is just pick it up, and there we have it. So it's a really good holster, really good retention, and it's just with this clip right there. It's easy in, easy out, and it's really not going anywhere. I can just like jump, do whatever I do, and then when I need it, the gun's right there. And so overall, really good holster and really comfortable for wearing. Now, when it comes to the amount of magazines I carry, I must confess, I only carry the one magazine that came with my gun. And being that these are capped at 8-round capacity, it puts me at a very big disadvantage. And so why do I carry just one magazine? Quite simply, laziness, honestly. I've spent my money on my other guns and ammo and kind of put off buying another magazine for this gun in the first place, and so probably after this video ends, I'll probably get myself another magazine. But another thing of note when it comes to these mags is if you're gonna buy another one, get the surplus magazines. Get the surplus Russians, Bulgarians, East Germans, doesn't matter. Get the older military magazines. Don't make the mistake of buying a new production Makarov magazines. They're pretty crappy, and let me just show you why. Okay, alright, I am done yapping. Thank you guys for watching this video on the Bulgarian Makarov and why I carry it as my concealed carry weapon. Now, I want to preface this, I don't recommend people going out and buying a Makarov for their concealed carry gun. There are far better options, and the only reason I carry it is I just think it's cool, and I think it's good enough for me personally. But carry whatever you guys want, it's not that deep. But if you guys enjoy this kind of content, be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. If there's something I left out, or if there's something you want to comment about this video or any future video ideas, leave it in the comment section down below. I'll read and respond to basically all of them. And if you watch to the end of this video, I want you guys to comment in this comment section down below. Makarov sends his regards to let me know that you guys actually watched to the end of this video. But without further ado, thank you guys for watching this video. Zig Zion, bye-bye.
Просили 2 танка вчера, всего 2 танка, чтобы нахуй мы, и сегодня бы мы не отправляли 23 гроба нахуй. Их было бы, бля, в половину меньше, блядь. 2 танка просили. С 10 утра до 6 вечера я просил 2 танка. Вот нам сказал, блядь, товарищ Тихомиров, нахуй. Он пидорас, блядь. Вот. Пусть он знает, блядь, нахуй. Пусть они снимают, они так крутые, блядь. И если, блядь, дай бог, чтобы эта пленка как-нибудь вышла, блядь, на центральное телевидение, блядь. Пусть, нахуй, все знают, блядь, что нам 2 танка пожалели вчера, блядь. Из-за этого мы, нахуй, 23 уже трупа имеем. 30 мы еще не нашли, блядь. 30 наших ребят, блядь, нахуй. А мы все офицеры, блядь. Сегодня мы отправили, блядь, парня одного, у которого 2 грудных ребенка, 2 близнеца, блядь. Пиздец, они сироты, нахуй. И этот Тихомиров, блядь, ни Петров, ни Иванов, ни Ельцин, ни хуй знает кто, блядь. Они хуй позаботятся о них, блядь.
Саша, он, сука, не только, блядь. Он, блядь, не только пообещал, блядь. Он пообещал, нахуй, ходят там, не ходят, блядь. Наши ребята нам ждали, блядь. Ждали, сидели, нахуй. Он хуй там